ברוכים הבאים לפסטיבל הקולנוע הבינלאומי ה-36 חיפה. אני ירון שמיר, מנהל שותף של הפסטיבל, ואנחנו מאוד מאוד שמחים לארח כאן את היוצרת, הבמאית, התסריטאית ורוניקה צ'ן, היא מארגנטינה, והיא אחראית על הסרט גאות, היי טייד. הסרט הזה התחרה בתחרות הבינלאומית של סנדנס, והלו ורוניקה.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Fine, fine. Hello here from Argentina, Buenos Aires.
Hello from Israel. We're very happy to have your film in Israel, in Haifa. And we would like to talk a little bit about the various topics that are very eminent in your film. And the first question I want to, or first thing I want to put on the table, that this film moves and intersects between two kinds of politics. The politics of gender and the politics of class. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit about writing something that tackles these two topics, which is, something which is on the table in a very strong way today all over the world, and putting the finger that sometimes it's not going in a very swift way between the people who wants to identify with one or the other. Okay.
Yes, the first thing that comes up for me is the issue of gender, because I tend to think from the point of view of a character that is a woman, maybe also a small child sometimes, but generally a woman. At least in all of my last films, this is my 5th film. In the last 3, let's say this is easier for me, so I go directly to a woman main character, and I try to imagine what would happen with her if I put her in a special setting, let's say in this house, with this job, and with these people, and what would happen if you turn it around and think it's her husband, for example, the owner, who is doing this job. There would be no film. There would be no conflict. He would deal with the workers with practically no problem, unless he were, for example, with a physical aid on a wheelchair, something like this. But if not, there would be no conflict. So with a woman, it's different. And why? Why is it different? I always thought this would happen very strongly in Argentina. I didn't think it would resonate so much outside of Argentina, because we have a type of society that is very patriarchal. I don't know how to call it, but very strongly man-related, with very strong men. So I thought, okay, this was an issue for us. But then when I did the film and it went to Sundance and abroad, I found out that no, it resonates all over the world, more or less differently than us, but a lot. And so the issue of class comes mixed with the reality, because she is a woman, she has to have this job done, and so the workers in the relationship with her, okay, bring up this conflict. But this was a little bit the order.
She is white.
Yes.
She is rich. She is privileged. And she is in this great, beautiful vacation house on the beach. Yeah. And she has people, working class people, maybe blue proletarian. I don't know if they're more indigenous or they're also, it looks like they are more indigenous, more like not white people. And so when you cross this power play, that she's a woman, then maybe she's also she is alone, and there's quite few of them. She depends on them to do the work, but they depend on her to pay them the money.
Yeah.
There is, and I'm trying to stay on this point because it makes you, the spectator, the viewer, very confused whether with who you have to identify. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys here? If there are any bad guys or good guys. And so this is very confusing. It is interesting to me to know how you elaborated the script. I mean, you had the basic idea and then how you developed the situation.
Yes, it's as you say, and the aim is to be a little bit complicated with this issue, because I think in reality it is like that. It's not good and bad. And sometimes you relate to one and then you shift to the other, and then it surprises you. And this was a little bit the idea. What was very important, maybe. I don't think it will help. I think it will make it more complicated, but it would be interesting. What was very important when I did the casting and when I wrote the script was that both of them, Laura and Weissman, and this is also important. She's Laura, but he is Weissman. You know, it will never be a first name, not even for her. Okay, that they look alike. They're both white, they're both blue or green-eyed, they're very fair, and they even have the same tattoos.
Yeah.
Those are the real tattoos, you know? So this was important for us, and like she may get a little bit confused. She had some wine, and she's dancing, she's happy, she relaxes, and okay, she has an adventure with somebody with whom she comes a little bit confused. The next day, the confusion ends because he is not in her group. Yeah. And I wanted this. She could have this adventure with him, not with the other workers.
And you know, and very wisely, when the conflict develops, he in physics does not exist there almost all the film. I mean, his presence is there because she tries to get to him and she can't. And he is like some kind of an evil character, but he's not presented physically in location. So the actual threat is not by him, but by the workers, which are from the lower class. Yeah. And she despises them from the first moment. She treats them in a way that they know you should know your place, no? And your place is under my place.
Exactly. She feels she is not respected, okay? But not as a woman. She feels she's not respected in her place of power. Yeah. This is her problem. For them, what they think is, okay, if Weissman could, why couldn't we? We know we can't, but we feel a little bit disrespected because of this.
Yeah, because if he can, why can't we? Why? Because we are less than him?
Yeah, we know we're less, but we still don't like it. And if you cross the line, Laura, you cross the line, then you will have to bear with us that we cross the line as well. Or try to stop us. This is what they do, you know, they start a war, let's say. Yeah. And she can't. She doesn't know how to stop them.
In many ways, when I watched the film, I thought it's a film about a siege, because he is sieged, and then she had to build defenses, of course. Yeah. And I tried to think about you know, other films that tackle this situation, and into my mind went Straw Dogs by Sam Peckinpah. Yeah. And I was wondering if that was some kind of reference, or it was influencing your work on this film.
Well, I saw that film a lot. I love that film. Probably in some unconscious way, it is there. More mainly, I like Haneke a lot, especially his first films, because of the moral issue. You know, this is what I like. that nobody is good or bad, and especially he interrogates the middle class, which is also Laura. She's not very, very, very rich. She is middle class. Has a very nice vacation home, but she has a job. She works, blah blah. But what I like about Haneke is this: no, everybody is is a little bit good and bad, and this class who tries to be educated. You know, they have a civilized way of dealing with things. Suddenly she comes unleashed. She can't, because at first she tries, you know, to bring them a gift, something for the barbecue, which here is a big thing and it's a very good thing, but it's not the right answer. It's not what she should have done, and so
it's interesting because in a way you feel that your film is passing through various phases, and the first phase is like a drama about class relations, but and then it's going to be almost like a suspension film with elements of horror, and in the end you go for the horror totally, at least in my opinion. And I was wondering, how you feel like the mother of this film about the ending you decided, because it is an ending of revenge. And it makes Laura looks in a very cruel, almost inhuman light. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wanted to show that death cruelly because death is cruel, you know, and I think that sometimes not showing it is not something I'm very comfortable with.
But also the way she's doing it, the way she's handling all the situation is like she's like a very experienced killer. Like she had it inside of her all the time. It was just waiting to burst out.
I think the monster is within us. This is my personal view. I think when you have to do things, you do them. And suddenly the know-how comes. You don't know from where. You find yourself doing very strong things, good and bad, but evil too. You can be very evil. Anybody can be very evil. This is what I think, drawn by the circumstance. The terrible thing maybe is that she's not doing this to save her kid, a baby or something. She's doing it because of a very ego problem.
Yeah, she was humiliated. She was humiliated.
That's all. Yeah. It's not because she needs to do this. Her need is only ego. Yeah, she's humiliated and she has to fix this. This is a problem.
Yeah, she has to pay. She has to pay back. She has to pay back. Yeah.
Yeah, she has to pay back. And this is the terrible thing, maybe.
I thought that the way that these workers in the film also going through various phases, and I think in the last phase, what they plan to do is they give up the idea of having sex with her or something, and they opt for another strategy, which is to embarrass her with like a cheap intention in a cheap life. Like, okay, they bring like what the American will call bimbos, you know, chicas faciles, and do these orgies in the tents and everything is very dirty, and this reflects again on the big place where she's living. She's so clean, she's so, you know, respected, and they are like, you know, they are getting everything messy and dirty.
Yeah, because there's one thing that Weissman tells her that she doesn't listen to, and what he says is, we always do this, you're just not around. You people are never here. The thing is that you were here. And she takes it personally, like, yes, me, Laura, of course, you had sex with me, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't listen to the other thing, which is, we always do this. And then we clean up because we live here every day, the whole year. You just
Mm-hmm.
come here for a few months. So this was also interesting for me, no? The clash of the people who go on vacation versus the people who live there
Yeah.
and who really know your house very well. They
Mm-hmm.
build it
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yeah.
use it when you're not around, and then they clean up. The problem here is that they're pissed, so they won't clean up, you know, they won't do things nicely. And this is what they're showing it.
Yeah.
Um,
I read in one of the press interviews you gave that this is planned to be one of a quartet
yeah.
films that are happening on the beach. Maybe you can elaborate about the project.
Yeah, it's called the Coastal Quartet. It's 4 films, one in each season of the year, doing a whole 4-year cycle.
Okay.
Okay, I'm doing one next year. Yeah, they all take place more or less in the same setting, which is 4 beaches. They're one beside the other, and they're a little bit different. It's the richest one, which is this one,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the place where the people who work here live.
Mm-hmm.
So where these workers would live, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a campsite.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that since these people know each other because they all come from Buenos Aires, from the capital, and they have their summer houses there or want to have their summer houses there, they more or less know each other because they rent each other the houses, because they lend them, because they see each other, because these are small towns. Not in Buenos Aires, but they know each other probably there. So they will be, the main characters will be, if they're alive, will be the secondary characters in another film, for example. So Laura will be in another film.
You will take the characters
Yeah,
from one to
but
the other.
they
Wow.
will be like a friend, you know, a
Yeah.
secondary. Yeah, and Weissman will probably be in one of the others too, because
Mm-hmm.
it's before this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the idea of this was to think of a small community of people in a small community of a place also, which was not where they live all year round.
Mm-hmm.
And,
So, if you can compare, I guess you traveled in some countries in South America. The tensions between, like, you know, lower class and upper class, or between, let's say, bourgeois people like Laura and I don't know again if to call them indigenous people in Argentina. You think they are, if you compare it to Chile or maybe to Central Americans countries, are the same, or they are less present?
No, I think with Chile and Uruguay, we're very much the same. It's the 3 countries that are most alike. And then the gap becomes wider in the rest of Central America, and including also South America, Paraguay, the other countries, except Brazil, which is another world.
Yeah.
Because Brazil has another language, and they have the black ancestry very strongly. So it's like another continent. But for the rest, it's even more, maybe. We're said to be the country in Latin America with the bigger middle class, you know, so the gap is a little bit less, yeah. But this is, you know, in reality, our society looks like this film. So it's, I don't know about the small gap, you know, you see it a lot.
Yeah, of course, of course. Okay, do you want to say anything that I didn't ask about, to talk about some other topics before we say goodbye, or?
No, I'm very interested in the festival in Haifa because I don't remember another film of mine screening in Israel. Maybe they did, but I don't know which one, and never very centrally. So I'm interested to see what the audience how it reacts, because really I don't know how the issues of gender and class are very much in Israel. I've watched a few films, but this is all. And
I think the ideas or that these topics will resonate here very clearly because first, because Israel is a country of immigration. And in all countries of immigration, always the last wave is going to, you know, the lower place of the class system, and it like serves the other the more veterans ones. And it has been like this since, I think, the creation of the states, and this is the source of many tensions in Israeli society. And also, of course, with the conflict with the Palestinians, is something that reflects and also penetrates, and also the Israeli Arab population into this, I say, discourse of classes, of, you know, masters and servants, of people who have and people who have not. Yes, I think for instance, there is a famous Israeli film called Hamsin, in which you know, a very you know, prominent family in a northern small town, but a very prestigious one called Rosh Pina. There is some like they live in a place, and they are farmers. Okay, they live in a very big stone house. They have farm. They have bulls and cows, but the workers are Arabs. And one of the women of the family, she falls in love with one of the Arab characters, which in the beginning you see when he takes his clothes and you know, and washes himself, he has like this perfect godlike body, and he's like the Oriental, you know, beauty. And she immediately falls for this. And then the other people in the family, especially her brother, is really, you know, threatened by it. And it creates some kind of these tensions that that you talk about. So I think these ideas resonate in Israeli society and Israeli cinema. Yes. So.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for talking to me and to us, to the audience of the festival. Thank you for the film. I enjoyed very much watching it. I watched it in my home after Sundance. And then I am sure that the audience will respond to it. And please keep safe.
Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, I hope you keep safe too. And I hope you have a great festival and the audience responds. And
yeah,
thanks
and
for all the
hopefully we will have you as our guest in person with your next film.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, in the quartet. We want to, maybe it would be nice to have all the quartet. Yeah, it could be.
That's the idea.
Really nice.
Yeah, no, that's the idea. One day to screen the four together. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.